All right, traders, welcome to today's recap. This is Christian from Tribeca Trade Group, and it is Wednesday, July 26th. July 26th. Risk disclaimer in front of you. Everything that we're going through is for information purposes only, not giving out any advice or recommendations. Everything that we're going through is for education purposes only. Themes of the day. Well, of course, today was a Fed meeting day. I will start with that today. And of course, a plethora of earnings reports, specifically Meta just reported a little while ago. And this morning, really nice price reaction after Boeing. I want to go over that chart with you guys too, because I think that's one of the most interesting things that have gone on today. Here's what Fed Fund futures now look like. I don't, and listen, I'll give my quick commentary on this, but you can hear more from Bloomberg or CNBC and so forth, or from the meeting itself. Always, we do see that kind of whipsaw price action in the press conference that started at 2:30 and went to I think it went for about 45 minutes today, maybe a little bit over that. But yes, of course, they increased interest rates by 25 basis points. That was well priced into what Fed Fund futures were telling us. And now it looks like that there's a slight chance that they raise interest rates in September. Now, of course, I don't think that we learned anything majorly new in this. There's a couple things that were interesting. I think Powell mentioned that that there are some Fed speakers or members that think that it's possible that they start cutting rates next year. Also, it might, another thing that was mentioned is that it may take until 2025 for them to get down to their goal of 2% inflation. So, those are some talking points, but in reality, he left the door open, and he says that he's going to be dependent on what the data is. And, the one thing that's kind of nice here, and I went over this the last Fed meeting too, is that, today is July 26th, right? That means you basically have 2 months until the next Fed meeting. So you really don't have to, other than, we're going to hear from we're going to hear from central bankers. You still have the ECB meeting, which is, I believe, tomorrow. And, you're going to continue to hear from Powell and all the Fed speakers. But in regards to another meeting, you won't have another Fed meeting until till September 20th, right? So that kind of goes on the back burner. And one of the things that I've been saying in the TTG trading room is that I actually, was not expecting much for today. I thought that the market had this priced right. The S&P was only implying about a 70 basis point move, in price action in for what same day or 0-day options were implying. So less than 1%. And I think that was pretty true to form. I think we moved less than that in regards to the volatility. I think the main event is earnings. And that's really going to drive the market. And so we'll start with some of the names that have been reporting earnings. We'll talk about some of the other things. We'll talk about some of those names that have reported earnings. But I wanted to talk about the China names first, because those were amongst your best performing, especially from the open. They were up 2.2% for the day. That's the KWEB ETF. And really, here's the chart of the KWEB ETF, just so that you could see what it looks like, right? And then, I didn't even get to the Dow. I'm going right to the groups, and I skipped over what the Dow is doing. But I'll finish what I was saying, because China is clearly a big area of the market. But yes, this kind of sold off from the highs yesterday, but is kind of staying around here. So it'll be interesting to see if this continues to move higher. What's been particularly interesting has been all the EV and the car names that are going on over there. I think NIO at this point looks best out of this group. I'll explain why. NIO is only a $13 stock. And if you zoom out, right, not to say that this is going back and saying, oh, well, geez, you should buy it here because it was in the high 50s, just because, so forget about that. But I think what's more interesting is it's been making, it's been in a range for a while, and it's starting to kind of break, or trying to at least get to the high end of that range. I've been long. The one that I've been long is LI Auto.
just because it's been the chart has been the best out of the group. I took profits into this today. I actually got more. I think I got a target above $40 in this one. So I'm just about out of this one. Remember, we saw call activity about a week ago in this name, which kind of spurred me to kind of get involved in this name. And I added into the test of the 20-day moving average, which worked pretty well. The other one, of course, is XPEV, right? This one has also had some major momentum to it, but again, you have to be quick with some of these things. These are momentum names, and this thing went all the way up to that virgin point of control. Again, if you're not familiar with what a virgin point of control is, VPOC, it's where a lot of buyers and sellers have previously met, but price is not revisited, right? A lot of people like to refer in technical analysis, they like gaps, right? And they talk about gaps being filled, right? It's the same type of, well, I don't want to say the same. It's a similar situation when there's a high area of volume that we haven't revisited. So look at it, tag that version point of control up at 2161, and that's often the case of what you see, especially when you are moving this quickly. Price will look like, will basically like a magnet and look for where there was a lot of volume, go up and take it out, and then kind of revert back a little bit. All right. And then, of course, while we're on the subject, RIVN is the name that everybody continues to talk about. I've had a small position in this. I took a little bit of profits on this move because it has not been an easy name over the last couple weeks after it made this huge move from $15 to into this 20 range. But it's trying to resolve out of the flag higher. Just note that you are going to have to deal with some overhead supply up here, 27.82, 28.88. Of course, price can get through that if buyers overwhelm that overhead supply. All right, so that's what I'm looking at. Probably I will look to be taking more profits around that 28.80 level. Let's get to the indices. I went right over, I skipped right over them. Notice what happened here today again. So if you watched yesterday's video, one of the words that I said yesterday was rejection, right? So S&P, as we were going through, Microsoft went down today, Google went up, but overall, the price has not been able to break its value area for the week. The level, very simple level to watch here, is 4,600 in S&P futures. Notice that price is having an issue with it. Now, it's not to say that we're not falling back far from that, so that's a good thing. But it is clearly having an issue taking a next leg higher. To me, is this logical? To me, it is logical. To me, I think that more often than not, we are price is very choppy when you have all these big earnings reports coming out, because there's some names that are going up and there's some names that are going down, right? Especially when you have a couple of those bigger names that are reporting. The Qs. Interesting. The Qs has kind of been all over the place. I don't know. There must have been a bad print here in the Qs, but I will still give you the levels to watch, right? So this got into value yesterday. It broke back out. It was a bit weak this morning, but it is hanging inside the value area for now by a hair, but it's inside value, and that's 377.12 is the level to watch there. It's very simply like how I use this in my trading, right? I try to basically stay long once I have a signal, right? And if we break out of when we break below, right? Even if this is short term, right? But sometimes I'm trading a lot of short term stuff in the trading room. But if we break below 377.12, that's your signal. Like, I don't want to be long any short term trades, right? I don't want to say anything in the Qs, but if I'm trading the Qs or something to that effect, I don't want to be long if we break below 377, right? And then you kind of wait, because ultimately, like, I would be looking for a move from one end of the value area to the other. But if we slip back below, then, you make some decisions, right? And that's what the value areas do for me in terms of my trading. IWM, on the other hand, had a really nice day today. The regional banks, which are, the financials, I believe, are still the biggest portion of the small caps. They had a really nice day today, and they still did not break the value area for the week. They tested it. 196.98 is something to watch there, right? And if we break above that, then the next thing to watch is this 198 BPOC. But you could tell, like, price is not really, I don't want to say convinced, but it just seems like it's not ready to kind of take that next leg higher. We're testing some of that short-term resistance and so far not able to get through it. All right. And then, of course, the diamonds, which have been acting the best. I don't know how many days this is that they're up again, but, I think this gets up to 358.18. Why? Because that's a version point of control from back in here, right? So I don't know if it happens, if it needs to do it in consecutive days, but I think it's pretty interesting. As I mentioned, I wanted to go through, again, there's going to be some earnings surprises. I mean, look at what's going on with Boeing. This Boeing has been one frustrating trade over the last few months. And, I was going over this in the trading room pre-market, because we do a pre-market live session where we go over some of these movers. But the best trade that I had in Boeing this year was when I rode this up to the version point of control. And this was all the way back in, which seems like a lifetime ago, but this was all the way back in February. And I did put this on Twitter, right? I said that that's where I was looking to take profits, was right around that 220 level. And since then, it's been a mess. Now, I've tried Boeing a couple times since, and it's been very whippy and choppy price action. But you could see from this move, this looks great, and sometimes that's the situation, that you'll go back and forth like that, frustrate people, including myself, and then you will break higher. So nice earnings report. And I think this move, now that we're out of this consolidation, this move could be just starting. And it had one hell of a close today, just continue to kind of grind higher. So where, what am I looking for ahead? 237, 249. So, again, there's always with Boeing, the issue with them is that they can come out and they could have some product issue or something like that. But I think the chart looks really good. So that's basically it for today's video. I want to keep it short and sweet. Meta is out with earnings. I believe that they are up. There's a VPOC up there on the weekly chart, right? This is not pricing in where it is trading after hours, but we know that we've seen some option positioning, right? We've seen a big roll of calls, right, that people have been talking about. So someone is still very bullish Meta, and if you like Meta, like even if you didn't play it for earnings, it's just basically back to where I was saying it was back to where it was trading last Friday. Now it's back to where it was last Thursday. So yes, it's up a little bit here. It's up $10. It's a $300 stock, but if you really like Meta, it's still below the highs. So, that's the situation with Meta. I would watch this for the week, watch this 314 level, right? And see if it can climb above there. All right, guys, that is it. One other name that people keep asking me about is this AI name. Watch 4165, right? That's the top of value. I believe they had an event today, but I would watch that 4165 level. It's a 1 hour top of value. All right, guys, that is it for today's video. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.